So I'm going to be summarizing from our side in 2 points. First, I'm going to talk about the huge benefits that TTIP will offer to Europe, to our citizens, to Finland in particular. And after that, I'm going to talk about how an ISDS mechanism within TTIP is, first of all, necessary, and second of all, can be implemented in a way that doesn't undermine our democracy while protecting investors. First, I have a small bit of rebuttal to the previous speaker that didn't really fit in with either of those points. So we've heard the opposition talk a lot about transparency on this stage here. They just seem to state that where there is lack of transparency, something shady, must be going on. But I really would like them to tell us exactly what specific problems this is causing. I think this is causing. In the last year, when we look at how the negotiations for TTIP have gone, there's been a huge increase in transparency. You can go now and look at most of the documents that are part of the negotiation. And when it comes to transparency within arbitration under ISDS, we also think that those are problems that can be solved, and we think that there is consensus or political will as well to change the ISDS process. So neither of those problems with transparency are fundamental in our eyes. So, to my first point, the benefits of TTIP. First, about the economic benefits. Basically, the opposition hasn't said anything about this. They seem to mostly agree that TTIP is good for our economies. We're becoming relatively smaller all the time in our own economy, both the US and the EU. What we need to do is increase trade, increase exports, create more jobs, get rid of the things that keep us from doing business and that hurt our competitiveness. Free trade allows us to do all of that. Getting rid of tariffs and non-tariff costs allow us to do that. We create overall better competitiveness and better lives for EU citizens with TTIP. And this is needed today too, or this was needed a long time ago. We don't really have the time to sit around and wait for a perfect deal with the US as if that was possible anyway. And furthermore, TTIP isn't dependent on us sharing any values. However, on the government, we do actually think that we do share a lot of crucial values with the US. Notes on maybe a little later. So after the economy, let's talk about how TTIP will impact consumers. So consumers will have access to a wider range of products at cheaper prices because we have a larger market that's more efficient. The same goes for government procurement. The one thing that the opposition complained about here is that regulations. They have scaremongering points that, in the US, they don't regulate medication and food, and if we have TTIP, then they'll just be allowed to sell anything in the EU, and our citizens will get sick. First of all, it's not true. The US has stringent regulations in lots of areas, some of them even more stringent than in the EU, and furthermore, TTIP doesn't mean that we have exactly the same regulation. At least not on day one. The idea is to harmonize our systems so that we can get rid of that red tape which is holding us back currently. Yes, Tom?
Your side pointed towards the cost that businesses face because of regulation. Why should non-quantifiable costs from, for example, food safety be valued less than the cost for businesses?
Well, I'm not sure that that's really I can say that that's a non-quantifiable cost when we have two completely separate systems. If I'm manufacturing food and I need lawyers for both sides of the Atlantic, if I need inspection of my facilities for business on both sides of the Atlantic, that puts a huge burden on me as a producer. Okay, quickly onto my other point, which is ISDS. So we believe on the government side that governments do have the ultimate right to regulate. However, investors have rights and responsibilities too, whether they're big companies or they're small companies. And in trade agreements, it's already been true for a long time, and we think it should remain true that investors do have a way to seek compensation when a government acts in an unfair, unexpected way. So this means if a government, we've heard mostly scenarios here where democracy is under threat from this. But the truth is that it happens all the time that governments are unclear or slow with regulation, that they favor domestic companies, situations where investors do actually have legitimate complaints against government. This kind of mechanism is needed, and it can be done. There are ways to make ISD ISDS better, we can make those processes more transparent, have that public discussion like Anna talked about. We can try and keep the process low cost and efficient as possible so SMEs also have access to those processes. We can have international courts, we can have appeal processes. They're arguing against ISDS in the worst way that they can see it. We believe that ISDS can be good, especially in the context of TTIP, which will bring us so much prosperity in Europe, and we're proud to propose it to you today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.